Welcome to Don't Be Caged by Your Age, Sara Freeman Smith. I'm so happy you're here to share how you are shattering age-related expectations. Please let folks know, where are you hailing from and the number of years we've been enjoying your presence in the world.
Well, I am hailing from the big, beautiful state of Texas, all the way down in Houston, my hometown. And I have been blessed by God to celebrate my major milestone this past August at 70 years.
I'm going to get the clappers
Yes.
out for that. And listeners and viewers, for accessibility purposes, I'll describe myself. I'm a 68-year-old white woman with short, and really short blonde hair, a big smile, sparkling hazel eyes. And today I'm wearing a black turtleneck with neon lime green earrings shaped in an upside down U. They're so cool. And my lipstick color is cayenne orange because we got to know that. And I'm speaking to you from my home studio here right outside of Boston, Massachusetts. Sarah, take it away. Please
All
describe
right.
yourself.
Okay. Well, seeing how I am blind, I hope I put the right outfit on today. But I am an African American woman with total white hair, very short. And I think I made it with my makeup, some lip gloss, kind of. I put a little bit of red lip gloss, perhaps. But I have a multicolored blouse and some gold earrings. So that's
Hey.
my description.
Well, Sarah, please share your journey with listeners and how you adjusted to life after losing your sight and how you found ways to navigate the world as a blind woman, especially in places and spaces that might not always feel inclusive.
Well, to be honest with you, Andy, that early stages was not an easy path to navigate because I tell people, just like individuals suffer a major loss of a family member, loved one, it's going through, a grieving process when you are given devastating news that your condition is incurable and it will lead to ultimately total blindness. And at the time, I'm living in Houston, medical center, capital of the world. I immediately was in denial, going, okay, guys, well, don't you have some drops? Can we not do some eye transplants? I'm thinking there's got to be some solution. You can't tell me suddenly. And that's what happened in my instance. I just suddenly began my vision was diminishing, but I didn't have any pain, any trauma.
Oh
Went
my
through
gosh.
invasive tests because they kept thinking this is a symptom that's leading to a bigger condition, i.e., thought maybe I had MS, perhaps thought I had lupus, thought I had any number of things, but ruled everything out. And when I tell you evasive tests, and this took over a span of several years, but in the meantime, my vision is slowly diminishing and diminishing. And then when they sent some blood work to NIH. I never will forget it. And it took a while, but when it came back, it was determined that I had an autoimmune condition called autoimmune retinopathy. In other words, it's a
Oh,
genetic condition. And it's where your good cells are decided to attack a particular organ or body part. In this instance, it was my retina. And they could not stop it. And the only thing that they could offer was to slow down a train wreck, and that is to put me on autoimmune suppressant medication, similar
yeah.
to what when transplant patients, so that the deterioration of my retina would hold slow down.
Sarah, how old were you when this started to
When
happen?
this started happening, I was in my late 40s in the prime of my career, had
Oh,
just received a promotion, was attending graduate school. And then I'm sitting at the front desk and of my professor, and I'm going, gosh, I can't see the PowerPoint. I'm all on top of it. And that's what led me to go in. And probably about 2 to 3 years later, early 50s, is when I was given the devastating news. By that time, I had received two other promotions. I'm traveling a good 85% of the time across the country. I've got a team of about 20 recruiters, all geographically dispersed. And it just hit me like a ton of bricks.
Oh
You
my gosh,
mean
you were jamming. You were
I
really
mean, I was
thriving
all
and
over the place,
yeah.
yes, and my vision is so critical as a recruiting leader at the time. I mean, I'm looking at resumes, I'm looking at people, I'm reading body language, I'm revising job descriptions. Everything was so dependent from a visual aspect, and I'm going, "Now, you mean I can't do my job? What the world am I supposed to do?" And initially, the physician said, "Well, there's always, and I'm going, but I want to work. I mean, it's not like I can't work. I want to work and I want to do what I love doing, which was recruiting and helping people find work. So it took a little bit of a minute. And after going through the denial, and then I was angry. I was angry with God because I'm going, hey, I'm Miss Pollyanna, Girl Scout. I'm
Doing all the right
active.
things. Yeah.
I'm all that in a bag of chips. Now, God, what's the problem here? I'm active in the community. I'm active in my church. I'm active on and on and on. I'm doing this and God is like silent. And then I go into the bargaining stage. Okay, if you give me my sight and if I can do this, I'll do double down on what I'm doing. Going through all those things. And
All the
suddenly,
stages.
the only part that I think I skipped depression because by the time I got to, okay, it is what it is, Sarah. So either you're going to sit here and just shut down. I'm a mother. My son is in middle school by now. My husband is actively working. I've always told people, believe in yourself, and I'm not a quitter. So I got to take a dose of my own medicine now. So that's what
Well,
started me. And then I
and
just
you're
picked up.
yeah, and you're a fierce problem solver. So I can
Absolutely.
imagine
Absolutely. And
that
I had to. The one thing for me was I had to ask for help because I
right,
was the helper.
right.
Everybody came to me for answers. And I go, if I don't have an answer, trust me, I'll find it. But now I had to humble myself, swallow that pride, swallow that ego, and say, not only do you have to ask for help, but you're going to have to wait for help
Oh
because you
my gosh.
can't demand, I need this, I need to go over there right now. What do you mean? I got to what? It was a whole reflection process, and that's what I talk about also in the book is that
Well,
it's that quiet time. And then I started asking questions and I found out that there was help out there, but it also meant that I had to relearn and retrench on what I was doing. Something so basic as how to work a computer. I've been on a computer all my life, but now I had to learn to use a screen reader. In other words, there's another layer of technology and it functions totally different from a sighted person's perspective.
right.
So it's like driving. Yes, I know how to drive a car, but it's an automatic. I get in, put keys in, you hit D, go, park, P, that's
Yeah.
it. Well, imagine someone gives you the keys and it's a stick shift and they say, meet me at 1 o'clock. You can't do a demo film of, I need to use my left leg for the clutch. I need to use my right hand, not only for the steering wheel, but also for the gear shift. And it is constant. And I need to use my right foot to do the gas. I got three things going all at one time. And what? And I got to
Yeah.
move this car.
You're having to learn and spatially all the things, but
I,
also having to rely on others when
exactly.
you've been so fiercely
Exactly.
independent.
All of that was just my brain was scrambled, but the one thing I kept telling myself is, you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. And I
There you
just
go.
said I had to relearn it. And if it meant I had to stay up and practice, 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 because I was bound and determined. If other people could do it, and that was what I did not know because I didn't know anybody that was blind at the time, but learned that others were thriving with total blindness from birth. And here I was blessed at least to be sighted somewhat. It was diminishing, but I needed to just say, okay, snap out of it. What makes you any different than anybody else? So it
Listeners,
started.
we are chatting with the one and only Sara Freeman Smith. You can learn so many wonderful things about her work by following her on Instagram at Sara Freeman Smith and visiting her website, the letter U, the letter R, GEMS, urgems.com. And speaking of gems, you have a book called Turning Stones into Gems, which I think is such a powerful metaphor. How did you develop the philosophy? And
Uh,
what key lessons and strategies from your journey do you believe are able to help others with their challenges and help them turn those challenges into opportunities for growth, especially for the folks tuning into this podcast, which are often finding ways to thrive after 65.
Exactly, exactly. Well, what started me on that journey, believe it or not, Andy, I wrote the book 25 years ago, right in the peak of my recruiting career, because I encountered, always wanted to reach underserved communities. And oftentimes when I would go out and do my recruiting spiels for the organization that I was working for, they said, "Oh, I can't do that. Nobody's going to hire me. I don't have a college education. I don't even, I just barely got my GED. Oh, I just got out of prison. Oh, I just got out of rehab from I mean, it was always what they could not do. And what I found myself was spending the time to say, listen, it starts with an internal mindset. It's an inside outside process. You've got to believe in yourself first and foremost. And so I would tell them my story of my upbringing and that society had said, no, you won't succeed. But I defied those odds because I had faith and I had the belief in perseverance that, hey, I am of value. I have something to offer. I just needed to home in on that and change that mindset. So when I wrote the book, it was about teaching people don't let your outward circumstances, situations, conditions, whatever, determine your destiny in life. That understand that your true value, your true core is on the inside. And so my son, he is a lover of science, and we were at the Discovery Channel store in the mall one day, and he wants me to buy this stone for like $25. And I'm going, boy, we have stones and rocks in the backyard. Why am I going to buy $25? So he's telling me it's a geode, which is something like this. And I'm going, huh? So what? And he says, but mom, it's really beautiful on the inside. It's quartz. And he takes me over there, and this is what I find. How beautiful is that? But this is what it looks like on the outside. It's all crusty. And I said, so I got to get rid of that outward, all that debris, all those failures, all those toxic relationships. And so that's what the metaphor is about, turning a stone into a gem, because we all are valuable gems in God's sight, and we all have distinct purposes. We just need to home in on what is my purpose. There was no accident that you were born and this is who you are. Just home in on your purpose and then go for it and give
Oh
it
my
all.
gosh.
Yes.
One
So
of the
that's what
best
the book is about.
lessons. It's one
Yes,
of the best lessons you
absolutely.
can teach anybody, that their
Absolutely.
worthiness and their
Right.
value really stems from their
Inside.
decision
Mhm.
to feel their worthiness, not because
Exactly.
anything outside to determine it. And I think it's Wayne Dyer who says you're always a valuable, worthwhile human being. Not
Exactly.
because anybody says so, not because you're
Mhm.
successful, not because you make a
Mhm.
lot of money, but because you decide to believe it and for no
Yes.
other reason.
Mhm.
And that's a Wayne Dyer quote, everybody, that I was reading on my
Absolutely.
bulletin board.
Yeah, and he was spot on, because then you start feeling that you're valuable. You start hanging around valuable people versus the toxic people, the people that put you down. It is a total mindset. And that, to be honest with you, Andy, is what helped snap me out. It was that mindset, when I suddenly realized, so if I got to be blind, then I've got to turn and believe in myself that I can still do these things.
Folks, you have to go follow Sarah on Instagram at Sara Freeman Smith, because this goddess at the age of 70 is creating so much fabulous video content
Ah,
and
yes.
really rocking the social media platforms. Can you share with folks how you're doing that? And you got to talk about these Ray-Ban
I
meta
know. I
glasses that you're
know. I
using.
know.
They're so friggin' cool. You're so on top of technology and innovation. I just love that, something fierce.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I'm gonna take off my, uh, fake glasses. I tell people these I've always worn glasses most of my life, so I told the doctor, I said, "So what? I might as well just keep them on. I'm just gonna perpetrate. Nobody will know that I am actually can't see anything." But here are my Ray-Bans, and what these are Ray-Ban Meta Smart glasses that they went into a partnership, and Meta is Facebook. And essentially, what it does is there's a camera on the left-hand side, and I am able to take videos and photos hands free. And then it downloads to an app, which then allows me to download it to all of my social media or email or text message the photo to family members or whomever. So it is a wonderful tool. It wasn't designed, let's say, for the visually impaired, but once some visually impaired gamers and some other people, social media folks said, wait a minute, this can actually work for someone who's blind because the AI, the artificial
Right.
intelligence portion, is also built into it. So you can ask it to read things to you, describe things, etc. Where normally I would have had to rely on my cell phone. I have a lot of apps on my phone and I would say, okay, take a picture, take a picture and it would describe it. Well, now I can do a lot of that hands free. But it was learning and staying active in the community of the visually impaired when these came out about a year ago. And it said, okay, this sounds interesting. I think I can do it. And then again, it's like learning how to drive. I said, okay, I can figure out the commands and play around. And it has been a wonderful blessing the last month.
Sarah, it is really cool. And again, listeners, viewers, those tuning in on YouTube, I put Sarah into the big frame, the solo frame, so you could get a really good feel for these Ray-Ban Meta glasses. But you've got to go to her Instagram feed and see the video content that she's creating because she's sharing these gems like she is with us
Mhm,
today.
mhm. Absolutely.
Sarah, you're sharing these wonderful gems that we need to hear because the world is always going to be filled with challenges. Being
Absolutely.
human is a
Mhm,
challenge, and we
mhm,
have a lot of frailty, and we
mhm,
have to build up our
mhm.
adversity muscles. And it
Absolutely.
really is the support of faith, loved ones, wherever you can
Mhm,
tap into it. But at
mhm,
the end of the day, it's you working with your brain, your heart,
mhm,
your soul to determine your destiny,
mhm,
given you've been dealt a hand of cards that are awful, whether it's like the fires in Pacific
mhm.
Palisades or blindness or you
Absolutely.
lose your hearing, a leg, a limb,
Mhm,
whatever. We
mhm,
get these challenges, and
mhm,
especially as we age, Sarah, for some of us who have been skippity doo dying for
mhm,
decades with our bodies that all of a
mhm.
sudden say,
Absolutely.
what? I can't do that anymore.
Right.
The I think one thing too I wanna just tap on a little bit and touch on is the grief stage. How important that is when you do have a loss and it's a
Mhm,
loss of an
mhm.
ability. What advice do you have for those who are being challenged, maybe at a lesser level as they age and get into their 60s, 70s, and 80s and are feeling like, "Oh, why bother? Like, why get off the
Mhm,
couch?"
mhm.
Especially when society is also saying, "Yeah, you can move off to the side
Right.
now. We're done with you. We only want the new and
Exactly.
improved models, not
Exactly.
you." What do you recommend for folks
Well
so they can live a vibrant and fulfilling life?
well, one of the things, and I think you and I are doing that, is always remember the power of community. God made us as a group of people. He said man should not be alone. So what happens when you first, suffer a loss is you just don't want to be around anybody. You just want to just stay crawled up in your bed and never ever come out. But you need to be around others who totally understand, who have already been through what you're going, and if nothing else, can sit and listen, but also encourage you to say, hey, I was there 10 years ago and look how far I've come. But if you don't have someone to bounce that off or to talk it through, then you are definitely going to wallow in that pity party. And for me, that pity party, I was going, wait a minute, this is not me. I needed to understand it wasn't going to be a pity party to be around other visually impaired people. It was amazing when you find out, well, how did you do that? Is something as simple as that? You mean there are free services that the states offer for older individuals, also for people that are wanting to work, that'll come in and help retrain you on how to do these things. But again, the power of asking, but being around community who are doing things and you're going and it strikes your curiosity. And most people, if you were thriving before you suffered whatever that particular trauma, obstacle, challenge, rely on those memories and say, I'm still that same person. I just simply now have something that is maybe going to prohibit me from doing it the way I normally did. But is there a possible workaround? Yes. Love going to the movies. I thought, oh my God, I can't see now. I can't go to the movies. Well, yes, I can. They have headsets called audio described. I put them in. I don't have to bug my husband to find out what Denzel Washington is doing on the screen anymore. So, I mean, there is nothing that I could not possibly think of that have not been adapted for someone that has a visual impairment or that is deaf. You just need to seek and ask. And the one thing is, you got to believe in yourself. Don't ever, ever throw in the towel. Believe in yourself, understand yourself, love yourself, and most importantly, invest in yourself. I call it my bully system in my book. And BULLI is about believing, understanding, investing and loving yourself. And it starts with you. And then it becomes contagious because then people are going, it's something a little different about her. She's kind of got a little smile and she kind of, even though she doesn't know where she's going because she can't see, but she's asking. And hey, people then suddenly go, I can help you. And that makes the world of difference. So
And how is that
always got something to
adjustment?
offer. Hmm?
How is that adjustment, Sarah, to asking for help?
Oh,
We're Americans, okay? We have
I
too much of this
know,
mythological, I gotta be
I
independent.
know, I know.
You had to adjust to asking for help.
I
What's it
know, I
like?
know. It really was humbling because again, like I said, I was a type A, I was like the ever ready bunny on steroids, so running all around. And suddenly it was like, okay, I need to ask for help, but it's also how you ask for help. I tell people it's not, I asked for help. I said, yeah, but if you ask for help with an attitude, guess what? You're gonna get an attitude back. And it's like, "Excuse me?" Most of the time when I'm approaching people because I have glasses on and because I'm talking to wherever I hear their voice, they assume I can see, and I said, "I'm sorry," and I wave my cane. "I can't see. Can you direct me exactly to where did you say the ladies were?" "Over there." Well, there has no meaning to me because I don't see where you're pointing, and then they suddenly go, "Oh, would you like for me to" "Yes," or tell me like the face of the clock. So it was for me learning how to communicate better when I asked for help and then to allow people to kind of, oh, oh, I got it because they were so used, again, the sighted word. Oh, it's right there on the, oh, okay, let me stop. No, would you like for me to take it? Then I can then direct them as to how that was. So it is an humbling experience. It's a little bit more. I had to grow a lot of patience because it takes me a little bit longer because I have to build in that extra time, especially going to somewhere where I don't know. But I have to say, most people, once they realize, they recognize I have a cane and that I am asking and seeking help, they're just amazed once I learn it the first time. I have little mental points. I may even have there's some little technology, little tags I can put around if I'm going to a particular office building on a frequent basis that I don't have to ask for help once I get get the first lead. But most people are very, very receptive. But the
Oh,
power of asking.
listeners, are you with me going, what? There
Oh,
are
yeah.
so many tools and
Oh, yeah.
services
Oh, yeah.
out
Little
there.
bitty tags I can, and then they go, how did you get back? Well, I knew that the wall was to the right, and I go count it. I counted the number of office buildings from that to the rest. Okay, I'm here. Okay,
Oh
let's go.
my
So
gosh.
you just built in some little inner. Again, it takes a little bit longer, but yes, you find those workarounds, and people are going. I can't believe. I don't think you're really blind. Yeah, I. When I go roll right into them, I'm going. That's how blind I am. But I also trust a lot of my workarounds and a lot of the tools that the simple
Well,
basic tools that are available.
Sarah and I had a fun chat before we set the interview date for Don't Be Caged by Your Age. One of the things that you said that I am still howling over is the whole
Oh yeah,
Jurassic Park
I know,
versus
I know.
Starship. Can you share
Exactly.
that with folks?
Oh
Because
yeah.
that just tickled me for
Well,
days.
what I had to learn, and this was when I was first with cell phones, I had my little Palm Pilot back in the day, and then I went to a basic cell phone. But again, as I'm losing my vision, I can't see these things, and I'm always bugging my son, and he's going, Mom, I have enlarged this doggone phone as much as I can. Listen, I have a friend that works at Apple. I can get you I'm going, don't buy that. That was like a car note, back 10 years ago, how a
Right.
phone was. And he's in college, and I'm going, we need that towards your out of state tuition. You better not do that. Well, lo and behold, Mother's Day, he gets me one, but it's a refurbished one. And he says, Mom, this will definitely help you because at the store, there's a bunch of blind people in Houston. And my friend tells me they're all using this. And I'm going, okay. I can't use that excuse, I'm too old. And I said, and he's a lover of Star Wars. I said, you know what, son, I think you just made sense to me. I need to get out of Jurassic Park and get on the Starship Enterprise and Star Wars with Captain Kirk. I'm not hanging out with the dinosaurs anymore. So I
There you
got the
go.
phone and learned how to use all the voiceover and accessibility tools, and it opened up a whole new
Oh my
world for
gosh.
me.
And I have to do a shout out to StreamYard because I learned from Sarah that getting on, logging in and
Uh-huh.
all of that went
That's
smoothly. It's an accessible.
perfect. Accessible platform. Again, using whatever voiceover or talkback if you have an Android. I just logged in, downloaded because again, I'm not on a computer and it said if you are using a smartphone, use Chrome or Safari if it's Apple, that sort of thing. In 2 clicks, I clicked the link. It took me directly to your studio and said, all you needed to do was type in the name and say, just wait until the host lets you in. And I didn't do anything. Much easier than like Zoom. You got to click, you got to turn on your camera, turn on your audio, click, click. There's a lot of little
Yeah, yeah,
extra
yeah,
hand
yeah.
gestures that I did not have to do, but still a wonderful, accessible,
Yay.
yeah,
Yay for
platform.
that.
So
And it
absolutely.
reminds me when I was networking in the startup ecosystem, which I was in for many years as a global startup mentor, there were some gentlemen who've been paralyzed by a bike
Mhm,
accident, a trail
mhm,
bike accident, and his wheelchair, and I thought this was the coolest thing, and
mhm.
I couldn't believe I wasn't seeing more of this. He was able to raise it up so he was eye
Right.
level with us at
Exactly,
events.
that it had a lift to it. Absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely, I know. There's so many things, but if you don't ask, you sit there and you go, "I'm stuck in this seat." But did you ask either the physicians or support groups? And every, affliction I found out just about will have some type of organization because there are support group, they're there for you. You cannot fight that battle alone. God knows, if it wasn't for Susan G. Komen and the breast cancer, I mean, women had a resource and it's not like, oh, I'm in this battle all alone. And
That's
that's the one
right.
thing too, is don't ever think that you're in it alone. There's help all around you. You just have to look up and start asking. And keep asking because some people may not know and you go, okay, well, maybe I need to call over here and see what that, and then boom, suddenly you find a resource. So that has been truly, truly helpful. And as we get older, we just got to get a different mindset and quit thinking, I'm too old to learn. You're never too old. I'm a constant learner. If you are always set on your ways, that reminds me of that book, a wonderful book, Who Moved My Cheese by Dr. Stitch
Right, from
Johnson.
back in the day,
It's
yeah.
about change. It's about adapting and embracing change. Life is ever changing. It is going to always change. Nothing remains the same. But you do have some people that go, I want it to be like it was back in the day. Well, guess what? Back in the day is not coming back. And that's why I talk about Jurassic Park. The dinosaurs are distinct. They're no longer around. And you're just still hanging around here thinking they're going to come back. And everybody else is on the starship going, why are they still down there? Because they think the dinosaurs are going to come back. Well, tell me how that's gonna work out for you. So, and then once you get on the starship, you go, all I gotta do is punch a button and this is so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get transported. So it's just embracing that change. And it's a lovely book for some people to just read. No
You
more than
know what?
90
You're
pages.
absolutely right.
It is. It's
We
about that
had it
mindset.
in the late '80s and early
Yeah,
'90s. It was a
exactly.
must read,
Uh-huh.
and it is so important because change is the only constant that
It
we have,
is. It
and
is.
learning to adapt, but also there's a yeah, there's the acceptance part, Sarah. So there's
Exactly.
accepting
Yes.
what is,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but not
Exactly.
having to A, tolerate it, or B,
Right.
stay stuck in it,
And
meaning
stay
I
stuck. Exactly.
leverage
Yeah,
this.
as the book says, somebody's gonna move your cheese, whether it's up to you. Sometimes you need to go on and move your cheese. Okay, it's get a little stale. I need to go find somewhere else. But the bottom line is, don't sit there and think, oh, somebody else is gonna bring something and put it right back here, and it'll be like it was. And no, it's
No.
not gonna work out like that. You really have to embrace and say, I just got to learn something new. You may not have to learn the full scale, but enough to get by that's comfortable for you. And then it's amazing. It's
Well,
totally amazing.
and what society will do, folks, is it will decide to put you in a box. A, you're
Absolutely.
old, so,
Mhm,
you can't
mhm,
do these things. And
mhm.
now, and Also, we have the color challenge. If your skin
Mhm,
color isn't the
mhm,
pure white, you're going to
mhm.
have some blocks there and you're moving
Exactly,
forward.
exactly.
But when you have a disability, you're going to get people to just maybe sometimes baby you
Yeah, and I'll
or,
put you over to pasture and just, just stay here, and I'll come back and check on you. Next thing you know, I'm up and I'm all around. No, I'm not
yeah.
that. No.
And that's my question, Sarah. What advice do you have for folks who are suffering from those limiting beliefs based whether it could just be their age or it could be the physical challenges they're experiencing? Oh, my back, I have arthritis, I can't do this
Mhm,
anymore, or I can't move in certain ways, or I have a heart condition. You still can dream
you can
and you
still
can
dream.
still
Absolutely.
pursue your
Mhm.
heart's desire, be on purpose.
Yeah.
Sarah, what advice do you have? Especially for the women out there, to help them be inspired to keep
Mhm.
growing and keep glowing.
Well, one of the things that for especially for women is because we usually have a good tribe we like to think around us, but take another self evaluation and say, I need to lean in on some friends who are going to encourage me and lift me up. If you wind up sitting around and everybody is wallowing in that same pity party as you, what are you getting from that? You don't need help to have someone else help put you down. You can do that a great job all by yourself, get the Lifetime channel going, cup of diet Dr. Pepper or something and sit and wallow, box of
Yeah.
tissues. We can go wallow all by ourselves. You need to be around and think of things that bring you joy and that how can I go about doing it? One of the things I enjoyed was doing exercising, but as a blind person, I can't look at that exercise instructor. Well, guess what? Now there are instructors that teach yoga and Pilates and all these things, tandem ride biking, all these things because they knew that there are people out there that wanted to do it. Express that desire. Start asking. Ask doctors, ask caregivers, ask people in your church or community. You'd be amazed how many people sitting back saying, you know what, I always wondered, I'd love to be able to help you. Let's go about doing it. But again, it starts with believing I have something of value to offer. You are worthy and you are not meant to be underneath the bed or room covered all up. Let your light shine. And how can your light shine if you're stuck inside wallowing in the pity party? My total advice is surround yourself with a good tribe of friends that will help lift you up. And then you go out on a search and start asking. And if you don't know technology, that's the first and foremost thing. It's not going to attack you. It is really easy. And this trusty old thing that you call a phone is actually a computer that allows you to make phone calls and receive. So rethink your mindset because you can do everything from this phone and just start with the basics. And believe it or not, it's an easy learn. If I'm
I love
blind,
this.
it's an
And
easy learn.
and Sarah, for those of us who have a loved one or even a stranger who has lost their sight, sometimes we can be
Mhm.
afraid, "Oh, what are we gonna
Oh,
say?
I
How are we
know.
gonna be?" What
Exactly,
advice do you
exactly.
have for those of us who wanna do the right thing, but aren't sure what to say or
Mhm.
do?
Well, the best thing in it and the best advice is always tell people is just ask, "How can I help you? What do you need me to help you to do?" Because again, don't assume and put like we all do, put everybody in a box. I
Mhm.
have some totally blind friends that are awesome cooks. As a matter of fact, there was a lady that won Master Chef, totally blind, now has 2 restaurants in Houston.
Get
Now,
out of town.
who would explain that? But she had to learn trial and error. Yeah, she said, I had a lot of cuts, had a lot of burns. But again, I'm not going to be, it's not going to be to my death. It's like we tell our child, don't touch that, you're going to burn. But hey, when they did it, they didn't go back and do it again. They did a workaround. So the
That's
same
right.
thing is I have to not fear. Fear is false evidence appearing real. And
Sure
I have to
is.
have faith. I have to trust the faith. And I remember during COVID, I heard this one speaker say, either I do nothing out of fear or something out of faith. And that means I got to get up and do something. I may fall down, but why didn't I fall down? Because I jumped up too quick. Okay, I need to learn how to get off the couch a little slower. Okay, I can do arm chair, wheel exercises in my chair. I can do
It's
yoga in a seat. even if I can't stand up or get on the floor, I can do something. And what I can do, I ought to do. And by the grace of God, you should do.
Absolutely. We
Yes.
can adapt to our
Easily.
situations and turn
Absolutely.
that the fear, the false evidence
Yeah,
appearing
it
real
will.
into feeling excited and ready.
And can do it. Yes.
That's my other favorite word way of taking
Exactly.
the acronym
Exactly.
of
I love it.
FEAR.
I
Oh my
love it.
gosh.
And yes, yes, yes.
And Sarah, how can we add wind to your sails? How can we help you achieve dreams? What can we do to give you a boost in your work in the world?
Absolutely. Well, what I would love is as much interaction on social media that I can get. I'm a people lover, so being able to hear from and reach out and know that I am actually making a difference with individuals. So contact me either through my webpage, through LinkedIn or Instagram would mean the world to me. I'm going to launch some workshops that I'm going to start at our local libraries to teach
Mhm.
individuals how to use this little funny little thing that they keep calling a phone that's computer that they can use from the visual tools. So being able to support, and I hope if it turns out a success in Houston, hey, I can take that show on the road in any city. And being able to just come and speak to groups and show that for someone who is in her third act, that I'm gonna use that coin from your guest, Diane, I get right, Gilman. I love that
Sure.
third act, that you actually can do a lot more if you just dream big, believe in yourself, and step out on faith and trust that that net will appear and help as well.
This has been such an inspirational conversation. Listeners, let us know what you think. Leave your thoughts in the comments. You can always leave a voicemail message for me on my website. Hop on over to Instagram and say a big hello and
Oh,
follow
love it.
Sara Freeman Smith. That's a very easy handle to remember. And you are going to be blown away when you see her creating content. You're going to be like, what's holding me back? She's
Exactly.
and also, folks, be sure to sign up for the newsletter on my website, don'tbecagedbyyourage.com. Every month, I send out a recap of conversations with folks like Sarah that are
Mhm.
so remarkable, inspirational, and providing resources and ideas and, oh, maybe even a shift or two to help you shatter your ageist beliefs and the stereotypes and age related expectations that have been indoctrinated internally to us. Oh my gosh, Sarah, thank you so much for joining me on the Don't Be
Oh,
Caged by Your Age podcast. What a treat to spend time with you and learn from you.
oh, thank you, and much continued success in all your endeavors. You're doing
Oh,
a fantastic job.
thank you. And listeners and viewers, I want you to know Sarah DM'd me on Instagram. So don't ever hesitate
Mhm.
to reach out to
Yeah,
do
absolutely.
something or ask somebody, would you be
Mhm.
willing?
That's it.
Because you never know what is going to happen. And I've been able to connect Sarah to some wonderful people. And,
Absolutely.
this is how reciprocity works. And
Mhm.
that's
It
what we
is.
want to do for each
Mhm.
other.
Mhm.
And also, listeners, I'm going to always end all my podcasts with this. Please remember you are valuable, as Sarah spoke about. You
Absolutely.
have so much to give. Do not let those internalized ageist beliefs prevent you, stop you, and limit you from pursuing new dreams and opportunities, whatever they look like. Whatever it is that makes your heart sing, do you bring you to us? Because there's no one else out there like you.
Absolutely.
Thank
Totally
you,
agree.
Sarah. Thank you, listeners, for tuning in. I'm so grateful for your time and presence, as well as yours, Sarah.
Thank you.
Cheers, everyone from Boston. Listeners, I'm so grateful you carved out time to tune in and grab the gems from this delicious conversation. Be sure to hop on over to Don't Be Caged by Your Age on LinkedIn or Instagram to share your thoughts about ageism and unretirement. Because in this space, your age doesn't define you, it refines you. If you are inspired by a story you hear, it would mean the world to me if you would subscribe, share, rate, and review the podcast. To receive an alert whenever a new show is posted, please join the Don't Be Caged by Your Age newsletter. Every month, you'll receive links to the podcast and helpful resources for creating possibilities for your unretirement days. Thank you for tuning in. I am so excited to hear how you found ways to thrive after 65. Waving from Boston, cheers.